One of the most common questions I get is, what type of diet should I follow? A plant-based diet, a vegetarian diet, a regular diet? There's a lot of different options. Today I'm going to give you 6 reasons why the plant-based diet can help you be the most successful. Coming up. Hi, this is Ernesto from AttaBoyCowBoy, and on this channel we give you health and wealth tips to help you be more successful. So how did I start as a vegetarian 16 years ago? Well, I was working at an oncology place, and a lot of the patients we saw were really well off. They were famous people, they were wealthy people, and a lot of the treatment plans we started with either a vegan or a vegetarian diet. Then we would do their chemotherapy, their radiation, or whatever other types of treatments that the oncologist recommended for the patient. And one of the most common questions I got from patients was, hey doc, what's it like to be a vegetarian? What should I expect? So all I knew was what I had read, is that you're gonna get a lot of energy, you're gonna feel a lot lighter, and things like that I had read, but I couldn't really attest to them personally because I had never tried it. So one day there was a Rose Bowl game with USC, and I had a huge barbecue with my friends. I had chicken, I had pork, I had beef, and afterwards I just felt terrible. And I thought, okay, you know what, I'm gonna try detoxing and not having any type of meat for a week to see what happens. And after about a week, I felt really good. I felt a lot of energy. My mind felt clear. So I said, hey, you know what? I'm going to try this for another week. I'm going to do 2 weeks to see how I feel. And I felt even better. So then I said, okay, I'm going to do 4 weeks. So I could complete a month. And I could say, yeah, I was once a vegetarian for a month and, and et cetera, et cetera. Well, I did a month and I felt even better. I just kept feeling better and better. And 16 years later, I still haven't had any meat. Now, one of the things to keep in mind is that most people, including myself, we don't like feeling constrained or limited. So if you label yourself, as a vegan or a vegetarian or anything like that, it feels like you can't do something. So that makes you not want to do it. So I never tell myself I have to do anything. I don't have to do anything. I can eat whatever I want, whenever I feel like I need to. If I wake up tomorrow and I feel like I need to have a cheeseburger, I'll eat one. But it just hasn't happened in 16 years because I feel so good. But I always leave the door open for myself. For if I ever want to eat some fish or some chicken or whatever, I can do so. Now I have some friends that are flexitarians, and that's really cool. I have one friend that cannot give up In-N-Out burgers. So he's generally a vegetarian, but every once in a while he eats an In-N-Out burger, which is beef, because he really likes it. And actually, I think that's a really cool approach. If it's something that you can do and you can manage it, why not? It's good to be flexible. For me personally, it works better just not to eat any types of meats. And I just feel a lot better and I'm a lot more productive. So for me, it's worked out really well. So let me share with you 6 benefits that I've experienced for myself, for a lot of the patients that I see in the clinic. The first one is weight. It's really easy to maintain your weight, your ideal weight, when you're not eating meats. A plant-based diet tends to be lower in calories than eating, fried chicken or hamburgers or fried fish or a lot of other things like that. It's just lower in calories. It's a lot less dense, the food you're eating, and you're gonna tend to eat a lot less. Now, again, you have to make sure you're eating properly, because a lot of times I have vegetarians or vegans that are having issues with weight and health because they don't do any homework. They don't read up on nutrition. You gotta learn the basics of nutrition. They'll just eat noodles every day and white bread and all these carbs and pasta. That's not a healthy diet, whether you're eating meat or not. Regardless of the type of diet you eat, it has to be balanced. You have to have grains, you have to have fruits, you have to have vegetables, you have to have protein sources. So make sure you're following a balanced diet, regardless of the type of diet. Now, one thing that I noticed is that when I started having my physicals every year after starting a plant-based diet, the effects were huge. Every year when I'd go to my doctor's visits with different doctors, they would look at my cholesterol levels, my blood panels, all my markers, and they would say, wow, you know what? Your numbers are amazing. I'm not in the 90th percentile, I'm actually in the 99th percentile. All of my doctors have told me that. I'm in the top 1% of all of my blood panels. Everything just comes out awesome. My blood pressure is amazing. It's usually normal's around 120/80. Mine tends to be around 100/50, which is really low, which is good. That means your heart's not doing a lot of work. All of my markers are really healthy. And in fact, at my last physical, my doctor told me that my blood levels are of like a teenager, like a 12 or 13-year-old. They're so healthy. So a lot of my blood markers have become amazingly healthy since I started a plant-based diet. Benefit number 2, your skin glows. So you tend to look a lot healthier and a lot younger when you're vegetarian. When you're eating a lot of fruits and veggies, your circulation is going to be better. So you have much more blood flow. There's much more oxygen getting to your skin. So you're going to glow and you're going to tend to look a lot younger when you're on a vegetarian diet. Number 3, it's a mood booster. You're generally going to have a better outlook on things and you're going to be happier. When you eat heavy food, you're not going to feel good. It's going to affect your mood. You're going to feel tired. You're going to get cranky. But when you're eating healthy and your circulation's good, there's a lot of oxygen getting to your brain. So you're not going to have as many mood swings. And in fact, one thing I wanted to share is this idea of a plant-based diet. I really like that. A lot of people these days are using plant-based diet instead of vegetarian diet or vegan. That sounds really limiting again. So I like plant-based diet. It sounds just a lot more all-inclusive. Benefit number 4, and probably one of my favorites, is the amount of energy you have. When I used to eat meats, chicken, fish, pork, beef, all of them, I used to sleep like normal. I used to sleep like 8 or 9 hours a day. Since I became vegetarian, I sleep 4 to 6 hours a day. And when I'm traveling, sometimes I sleep as little as 2 hours a day. So think about the impact that that's had on my life. I typically work 12 to 20 hours a day, 7 days a week. So my income has doubled or tripled these years since I've been vegetarian. I've also had a lot more time to practice things that I want to learn and spend time studying things, like reading books or learning new skills or honing in on my crafts, like making videos. And if you think about it, if you're an engineer or a doctor or a teacher or an artist or whatever you become, just because you study that field doesn't mean you're good at it. You have to put a lot of time and effort into it. And you also have to be at peak performance. So if your brain is firing all 4 cylinders, you're going to be a lot better at it. So not having to sleep as much has given me a lot more energy and time to dedicate to things that I like to do. So it's actually helped me become an outlier in a lot of the things that I engage in. It's allowed me to be a lot more successful and become better at it, just because of the amount of time and energy I'm able to put into it. I can work a 20-hour day and you can talk to me at 18 or 19 or 20 hours and I'm not tired. I can actually keep going. I'm not shutting down. I'm not like, my eyes are not closing, none of that. I'm able to just sit down and talk to you and give you my all and be as effective as I probably was in the morning. Probably not 100%, but pretty close to it. Just because I don't have things in my system weighing me down. I have a lot of energy. So it gives you a lot of energy to be successful with things. That's one thing I noticed a lot of my friends is that, they're intelligent, but they're working 8 hours and then they're done. They're exhausted. They go home, they're just gonna watch Netflix. They're not spending time studying, they're not researching, they're not learning new skills, they're not pursuing other businesses. They just don't have the energy to do it. So when you have that energy, you're gonna be able to out hustle other people around you It's gonna help you be a lot more successful. Benefit number 5, you're gonna live a longer life. On average, people that eat plant-based diets have a longer life expectancy. And I have an interesting story. I was applying for an insurance policy. It was this huge policy for a lot of money. So insurance companies are smart. If you're trying to buy multi-million-dollar insurance policies, they're gonna come check you out because they wanna make sure you don't have cancer or some other disease that you're gonna kick over right after you sign on the dotted line, because they don't want to pay that money out. So they sent a doctor out, they gave me a full physical, they did all my blood tests, they checked me out. And that doctor called me back and he said, wow, I've been doing this for 20 some years, checking patients out for the insurance company. And I have never, ever seen anybody in your age group, I'm 45, with the health markers that you have. He told me, you're extremely healthy, he told me. Again, he told me I was in the 1 percentile. And he asked me, what's your secret? What do you eat? And I told him, I just eat a plant-based diet. That's it. That allowed me to qualify for the policy. And they actually cut my premium in half. Now that never happens. The insurance company quoted me an amount and they cut the price in half for me because they said I was so healthy that I qualified for this rate that they don't even advertise. So again, it's gonna give you not only longer life, but better quality of life. You're not gonna be in a wheelchair getting to the end of the line, hopefully. You're gonna be in a lot better health generally for the rest of your life when you eat a plant-based diet. Benefit number 6, it's also really important, your impact on the environment. Now, when you're not eating meats, it's a lot more strain on the environment. So a person that does not eat meat on average does 16 times less damage to the environment, which means that when you eat meat, you're doing as much damage to the environment as 16 people in India or China or some other country that's developing where people aren't eating as much meats as we eat. I remember a friend in school was telling me, we were talking about overpopulation. And he said, dude, we don't have a population problem. Have you ever driven through Texas? It's wide open. And I said, yeah, but a person doesn't just live in the space. They may live in a space, but to keep that person alive, they require a lot of acreage to actually support that life. Think about all the food, the clothes, the electronics, all the stuff that you have. It requires a lot of resources from the earth. So the more that you're consuming, the more of the earth's landmass that has to be basically put aside just to sustain your life. So when you're not eating meats, that contracts. You're going to take up less space, which means they're not going to have to cut down as many trees. They're not going to have to burn as much rainforest, etc., etc. Now, a really good movie I saw recently with my sister that summarizes a lot of this stuff is called Game Changers on Netflix. So if you have a chance, check it out. And if you have any questions, please comment below. I'm happy to answer any questions that might help you transition slowly, or maybe 1 day a week or 2 days a week, to a plant-based diet. That would really help you out. Thank you for listening. From East Los Angeles, this is AttaBoyCowBoy. Thank you.